In the cinematic landscape of 1999, a year defined by the digital rebellion of The Matrix and the anarchic nihilism of Fight Club, a quiet, cold wind blew through theaters in late summer. It carried with it no massive explosions, no gun-fu choreography, and no aggressive CGI spectacles. Instead, it brought a somber, weeping mood piece set in the historic, cobblestone grays of Philadelphia. The Sixth Sense, written and directed by a then largely unknown M. Night Shyamalan, arrived not as a horror movie, but as a profound meditation on grief masquerading as a ghost story. To simply catalog the plot points of this film would be a disservice to its elegance. One must understand it as a delicate architectural construct of silence, color, and the desperate human need to be heard. The film opens with a violation of sanctuary. We are introduced to Dr. Malcolm Crowe, played by Bruce Willis, in a performance that stripped away his typical action hero bravado to reveal a man hollowed out by regret. Willis plays Crowe with a hushed restraint, a man who speaks in whispers, seemingly afraid to disturb the air around him. When his former patient, Vincent Gray, breaks into his home, strips down to his underwear, and shoots Malcolm before taking his own life, the film establishes its thesis immediately: we are haunted not by monsters, but by our failures. This prologue is crucial because it acts as the psychological anchor for everything that follows. When the narrative jumps forward to the next fall, Malcolm is a ghost of his former self, metaphorically, we assume, drifting through a world that seems to have lost its saturation. He takes on the case of Cole Sear, a 9-year-old boy who possesses a terrified wisdom far beyond his years, played with shattering vulnerability by Haley Joel Osment. The dynamic between Malcolm and Cole is the heartbeat of the film. It is a reversal of the standard doctor-patient relationship. Malcolm believes he is there to cure Cole of his delusions, to redeem himself for failing Vincent Gray. However, as the narrative unspools, it becomes evident that Cole is the one guiding Malcolm. The boy is not merely a vessel for jump scares, he is a reluctant medium for the unresolved trauma of the city. Osment's performance is a masterclass in physical acting. Observe the way he clutches his clothing, the way his eyes dart to the corners of the room, and the way his breath hitches. He sells the premise that terror is a chronic condition. When he finally delivers the most famous line in cinema history, "I see dead people," it is not delivered with the hysteria of a horror victim, but with the exhausted confession of a child who just wants the fear to stop. He whispers it under a blanket fortress, creating an intimate, suffocating confession booth that bonds him to Malcolm. Visually, Shyamalan and cinematographer Tak Fujimoto crafted a world that feels perpetually autumnal and chilly. The camera rarely moves with aggression, it observes. It lingers in doorways and stares down long hallways. This restraint makes the bursts of supernatural activity significantly more jarring. But the true visual genius lies in the film's specific and disciplined use of the color red. Red is not used for gore, it is used as a visual alarm system. It appears on the balloon rising through the spiral staircase, the sweater of a grieving mother, the handle of the locked dungeon door, and the dress of the woman at the funeral. This color coding subconsciously trains the audience to feel unease whenever the hue appears on screen, creating a Pavlovian response to the environment without the viewer even realizing they are being manipulated. It is a subtle language that speaks directly to the subconscious, heightening the tension without a single line of dialogue. Beyond the supernatural, The Sixth Sense is a piercing domestic drama about a mother and son. Toni Collette's portrayal of Lynn Sear is often overshadowed by the twist ending, but her performance provides the film's emotional anchor. She is a woman watching her son slip away into madness, fighting a war she cannot see. The scene in the car, near the end of the film, where Cole finally reveals his secret to her, stands as the emotional climax of the story. As they sit in the gridlock of a traffic accident, and Cole relays a message from Lynn's deceased mother, the horror elements completely dissolve. The ghosts are no longer scary, they are the bridge to reconciliation. When Lynn realizes that her mother was proud of her, a validation she sought her entire life, the film transcends the horror genre entirely. It suggests that the supernatural is not an aberration of nature, but a continuation of love and memory. The horror was simply a lack of communication. Once the channel is opened, the fear evaporates, replaced by a cathartic acceptance. We must, of course, address the ending. The revelation that Malcolm Crowe has been dead the entire time is cemented as one of the greatest plot twists in narrative history. However, to view it merely as a trick is to misunderstand its function. A cheap twist shocks you for a moment, a profound twist recontextualizes the entire experience. Upon a second viewing, The Sixth Sense becomes a completely different film. It transforms from a psychological thriller into a tragedy of isolation. We realize that Malcolm's estranged relationship with his wife wasn't due to a drifting marriage, but due to his inability to accept his own death. The scenes of him trying to speak to her, assuming she is ignoring him out of anger, suddenly become heartbreaking tableaus of a grieving widow and a confused spirit. The rules of the ghosts, that they only see what they want to see, apply most tragically to Malcolm. He wanted to see a chance at redemption, so he created a reality where he could still work, still help, still exist. The genius of the screenplay lies in how fair it plays with the audience. Shyamalan never cheats. Malcolm never moves an object. He never interacts with anyone other than Cole after the opening scene. The dinner scene with his wife is a masterclass in misdirection. He sits down, she grabs the check, and he interprets her silence as coldness, while the audience interprets it as marital strife. In reality, it is the silence of a woman eating alone on her anniversary. This narrative architecture turns the film into a puzzle box that, once solved, reveals a beautiful, sad picture inside. The twist forces the audience to let go of Malcolm just as he has to let go of the world. It aligns our experience with his. When he finally stares at his wedding ring rolling across the floor, and the breath of cold air leaves his mouth, it is a moment of supreme peace. The horror is over because the denial is over. Ultimately, The Sixth Sense endures not because of the surprise, but because of the empathy. It posits a universe where death is not the end of the conversation. It suggests that the things that haunt us, our guilt, our secrets, our unfinished business, can be resolved if we are brave enough to listen. Cole Sear teaches Malcolm, and the audience, that the monsters under the bed are just people who are cold and lonely. In an era where irony and cynicism were beginning to dominate pop culture, this film dared to be earnestly sentimental. It argued that the most terrifying thing isn't a ghost in the hallway, but the inability to tell the people we love that we love them before it's too late. It is a film about the importance of closure, the pain of being left behind, and the courage required to open our eyes and truly see what is standing right in front of us.